Okay, good evening, welcome to this meeting of Recreation and Maintenance Committee. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence. I believe we have apologies from Councillor David Eggleton, and there are no further apologies. Oh, apologies from Councillor Gavshak also. Item 2 on the agenda is declarations of interest. Are there any? I see none. Public participation, agenda item 3. Item 4 on the agenda is minutes, to approve the minutes of the Recreation and Amenities Committee held on the 16th of January, which you should just be given a printout for. Are there any comments, queries, amendments? I see none. Are we happy to take them? Thank you. That's approved. Item 5 on the agenda is the progress report, which you can find on page 9. The basketball court has been resurfaced finally, and as you can see, we'll have a launch, and the office will finally be free of a box full of basketballs. We don't have any further updates currently on the riverbank repairs or steps into the river, do we?
No.
No. And we have lots on the adventure playgrounds. That's been ongoing. Everyone will be aware.
Do we need the riverbank repairs and the steps given that the river's so high?
Not currently, no.
Or very short steps.
That being the progress report, we'll move on to item 6, which is the finances. You can see the management accounts on pages 11 to 13. Are there any comments, amendments, queries? No. None. Are we happy with them? Thank you very much, everybody. Now we'll go on to agenda item 7, which is climate emergency working group tree strategy. You will see that this is the culprit, shall we say, ironically, because it's taken several trees to create the agenda. The tree strategy.
I'll just point out as well, I did the same thing on planning.
Yeah.
So it's been produced on 2.
Really?
Yes.
It will be FSC certified.
Yes,
Paper. Yeah.
definitely.
But maybe perhaps next time we'll try and push more
handouts
towards
to them.
electronically, although we must be considerate of our digital imprint as well, because that has carbon footprint also.
And what's the comparison carbon footprint of the paper and the digital?
We have a fantastic local company called Ryweb who did a talk recently at D2, and maybe they would actually be able to tell us that in real data as opposed to
Well,
sort of guesswork. It might be
Well,
something
no, this
we should
feels-
consider, because this is a really weighty report. I mean, I haven't seen one this long, I think, since the skate park.
Agreed.
Even longer than the scope.
Absolutely. But we are on this agenda item. This is a recommendation from the Climate Emergency Working Group, and it's for us to adopt a tree strategy. You can see there's a report there. Kath is here. I'm sure, being that you're sat there, you're happy to take some questions, maybe, if there are any. Is there anything you'd like to add to the report?
Only to say that this did go through planning a couple of weeks ago. There are 3 volunteers from the Climate Emergency Working Group who would like to be on a tree strategy working group to make a start on it. That's all I want to add.
Okay, perfect. So that being said, are there any amendments or?
Oh, no, it's going to propose it. I'm just going to propose it.
Fantastic. I'm happy to second that from the chair. Would anyone like to speak to it before we move to the vote?
I mean, this is an extraordinary document, a great work of reference and Bible, isn't it? And I'm very glad 3 volunteers have come forward to put some of this into practice, hopefully.
Are we restricting this solely to people on the tree strategy? Sorry, up to the climate emergency working group. So although I'm not on that, I'd be quite interested in sitting in this, and I think it's a good idea to have more trees fundamentally.
You can absolutely put yourself forward.
I think it says somewhere that you can, and other
Was it in the terms of reference? It says other interested parties, but was it also, I don't know, Sharon also checked with if contribute at least 3 members of the working group, but that doesn't mean council. And actually here, it doesn't say anywhere that councillors have to be on there as a minimum.
If it's a working group, it wouldn't need to be quorum.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. Yeah, no, it's a working group. They wouldn't have any powers to spend anyway, which is when you would need the court.
Oh, okay, right, makes more sense. Perfect. In that case, I'm happy to second the motion.
Fantastic.
Should we, sorry,
Sorry, councillor Gutsch.
should we have a broader range of people, rather than just having climate emergency group people on it. There's no other viewpoints on it. Should there be a greater breadth of opinion around it?
Well, absolutely. We could reach out to organisations such as Henley Society. I know that, for example, Kath.
We were definitely going to go to other, to bring Henley other local experts, parks manager said that he'd like to be involved. I think the assistant park manager would probably like to be involved as well. You know, we were definitely going to be asking around for more advice and expertise.
We have another person that might be considered who's an SODC tree warden, and he's also on the Henley and Bloom committee, Colin Brathwaite. Might be something that he's interested in being.
Good to see a breadth, I think, rather than just.
No, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Great. Are there any other comments anyone would like to make before we move to a vote? I see none, so we'll vote on this now. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item 8, which is Maitland's Recreation Ground Car Park. There have been some issues, as you'll see in the report. Is there anything you'd like to add to your report, Sheridan?
No, nothing particular, but I am happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Dodds.
Well, I took myself up there on the afternoon of Thursday, the 1st of February, and went there at 2:30 and stayed for the hour, just to see what the comings and goings were, because we heard there were problems with the school pickup and with Headway, and then some of the staff as well. So when I arrived, just to share my information with you, there were 26 cars already parked in that car park, so they're there. And over that time, there were 14 school pickup cars. And there were 3 to 4 who tried to find a parking space, school pickup cars, but went away and were just turned around. They were quite reasonable about it. And that's really what I observed. Now, the problem really is the clash between the school pickups and the Headway. Both the taxis that pick up the Headway people and the Headway bus. But those 26 cars that park there aren't really causing this particular issue that we're talking about today. Clashes between the school pickups and Headway. Really, I'm just passing on information. That's what I picked up being there for the hour. So, I mean, really, you're asking for the school pickup to be courteous and respectful, particularly of the Headway people. There's no sign up there at all saying, please, one of these polite notices, please be respectful of Headway, because they do get very distressed, particularly if there's any sort of altercation there. So they're the ones that I'm concerned about, really. So that was my research, really. I passed it on for consideration.
Thank you, that's useful information, because we know that this has been an issue up there, so it's nice to see the actual numbers and the on the spot study. We do have, sorry.
So 2 questions, Chairman.
No, I was just going to say we have a recommendation on page 404. Is there anyone that wants to speak to this?
Yes, 2 little things. So in paragraph 3.5, it mentions that the Scouts are willing to have their lease changed potentially. How long do we have to do this? If we do the feasibility study, would it be possible to get that in place and recommendations in time to adjust the lease, or should that be something we look at doing anyway?
It would be a simple variation rather than changing the lease basically has all been finalised, and it's just for the Scouts to sign at the moment. So it'd be a very small piece of work to do that variation.
Excellent, thank you. And secondly, a very slight amendment. 5.1, I think contractor B was the intended.
Yes, indeed, very well spotted.
Yeah, that's good.
Well,
Councillor Jackson.
Is the intention of the study to, at the end of it, not just analyse the issue, but come up with a proposal that creates more parking spaces?
So it would look to see how we can maximise the parking space up there, whilst also keeping the areas that we need to be kept clear. and the various different options that would be available to us around
Okay.
any charging or enforcement or whatever it might be.
There's no revenue stream from it at the moment, other than it's attached to the lease.
No, so there's no revenue stream,
Right.
full stop.
Okay.
There was one question I got, was if we, I know the layout, and I know that we should go from the car park up to the hill and whatever else. But even if we could try and round the side of the hall, is there any way to sort of extend it and keep that way? You've got a separate space for Runner Hall for Headway. And then that way it's solely for them. Yes, you would have to maybe dig some more out and sort of level it, but it would, if you could keep that space purely for the pickups, so the staff could park anywhere, but for the pickups and to keep the resident or the clients.
I think it'd be good to have keep clear zone if that's something
Yeah.
that's identified possible in the study.
Yeah, it'd be possible to have keep clear zones
Yeah.
and with marked bays,
Yeah.
you can then control who's parking in the various marked bays. At the moment, the Headway staff do park there and can park there, and they do that free of charge.
Yeah.
But often the issue is having the taxis and bus that basically pick up the Headway clients. Is them being able to get access
Yeah.
and being able to get in and out.
Yeah, understand. I think there's obviously there's obviously an issue overall with parking in the town anyway. And the people that work in town, it has been noted that once the free parking in the centre of town has now been policed, people are now finding wherever they can park. So Henley College students, people who work in town, I would say that there's probably quite a lot more parking over there than what we have listed here.
Councillor Jackson.
If the longer term view is to create a revenue stream from the site, surely as soon as you do that, does it not stop the pick up and drop off issue anyway? Because they're probably not going to pay for 10 minutes. So we then need APNR number recognition and that sort of tech involved. So what is the longer term view with that?
So this would be what would come out of the feasibility study itself. It's, I mean, we're not necessarily saying we want to create a surplus from a kind of like a revenue stream necessarily, more than simply breaking even, depending what the costs are. That could be one option. But the main aim at the moment is just regulating it, so the users who the legitimate users, whoever they may be, are to use it, rather than the focus being on creating a new revenue stream.
Okay.
So yeah, we have a recommendation. I've got the page number now, so 112. 112, there we are, I was close enough. 5.1 is the recommendation.
It's like a B.
Oh, yeah, contractor B, yeah.
Then yes, I'm happy to second.
Okay, perfect, all in favour? We'll guess the support of anyway. The next item on the agenda is Mill Meadows temporary mooring charges. You'll find that on page 115 again with a report from our town clerk. Is there anything you'd like to add to it, Sheridan?
No, again, nothing to add, but happy to take questions.
Okay, are there any questions, comments, suggestions?
I would like to propose a slight amendment to 5.1B. During Royal Regatta, I would like to see it for temporary habit at £300 per small boat, i.e. under 30 feet, and then 600 per large boat, to reflect the fact that that would still deliver very good value for money. It would raise a bit more income for the town, and it would have effectively a boat that you can have 2 people sleeping on would be 300. A boat where you can have 4 or more, would be appropriately more without being extortionate, and also make it more accessible to those who have smaller boats.
Are you making that as a proposal?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second that. Yeah, I'd be. Well, but we have to decide what defines.
I
small
would
and
suggest
large.
30 feet.
30 feet.
So
is
30 feet
between large
and
and small.
30 feet and below is smaller.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. I'm slightly, £12 a day is, but I'll get over it.
You will. You will.
I'll get over it, but I don't want to see an increase next year, people, all right?
Going great, and we provide better moorings than the back mooring.
I, I,
Nicer place.
I do have some additional information.
Please.
I believe that, the moorings over the other side, the Hemel Gatwick moorings will be going up to £15 per day.
Well,
later
that's
on
good.
this year.
We're still most competitive along the riverfront,
Good value.
and we don't charge until 3 p.m. either, so you can come and visit town and spend your money there instead.
One
Great.
thing I will ask, we said we're gonna charge for moorings for red boats. I've got a concern on that because when the river's red, you can't go, so it's almost that. Are we just saying that we're gonna charge because we can, and it's Henley, and because they're gonna moor?
Because it's been abused, it's been abused, and Tom, normally,
Yeah.
you would have to pay for a marina.
Okay,
So at the moment, a lot of the boats are abusing it by just being there anyway, effectively avoiding paying for elsewhere.
okay,
I understand your point of that, so perhaps we could, if you really wanted, we could adjust, say, between April and September, which is normal boating season, we wouldn't charge on red boards, and we would in the winter, when it's likely to be abused.
I am
But I would.
I'm not aware of the award,
With it
yeah,
as it-
that's
as
fine,
it
this
is.
isn't drawn up, that's fine.
The other difference I'd say is that where Hobbs manage our moorings,
Mhm.
they are, you see they've got the piles, and then they've got so you can get your rises up
Yeah,
and down, boats
yeah.
can rise up and down. We actually don't have that, so when people come here, because it's, a cheap place to moor, and they can have their large canal boat there for a significant amount of time. They're mooring on what we've got, which is small mooring rings
Yeah.
as well, and we're having fewer and fewer of them, now we've
Yeah.
almost got none left.
Yeah,
It's just not.
Yeah.
Not suitable,
Okay.
so if they're gonna be putting the strain on our riverbank, they need to be putting some money back into
that's
it.
fine, yep. I'm
I
happy
think
with
the only other point I would make is that red boards obviously don't happen immediately. There is usually
Warning.
notice,
No,
from
absolutely,
from
exactly.
the weather.
Okay.
You also get a
Anticipate.
yellow warning stream increasing before it gets to red boards.
And Hobbs is one of the only places you can view online the river at all times, so they have like a constant monitor of the river looking out over Henley Bridge. So I think people all up and down Thames, not just in Henley, use that. I know
Okay.
certain people that use it all the
Happy.
time. Okay, so we voted on it.
Quite happy.
I believe we've got a proposed,
I'll say.
yeah, second.
Proposed with amendment.
With the amendment, yeah, absolutely. All in favour? Thank you, that is carried. We'll now move on to agenda item 10, which is on page 121 of your agenda, which is the Fair Mile Cemetery Memorial Safety Policy. This was written by Judith, who's our estates officer. She's not in attendance tonight, but we do have Becky. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, then, you can see, well, we need to approve the policy. Are there any amendments anyone would like to make before
All
we do
makes a
so?
lot of sense.
And the second part of this recommendation in 5.1 is to approve the programme of memorial inspections and the funding for that. Are we happy with all of 5.1 A and B? Yes, in that case, I'm happy to propose it from the chair. Thank you. All in favour? Great, that's unanimously carried. And the last item on the agenda is Mill Meadows Toddler Playground, which is on page 127 of your agenda. This is a report by the town clerk. Do you want to add anything, Sheridan?
A bit of a stuck record, but no.
No.
I'd be happy to take it.
So you can see all of this. I mean, we had what was it a 5-year guarantee we had when it was installed, if I remember correctly. But because the designs were so intricate, it was before the 5-year that we actually needed some replacements. So I can remember contacting you in like the May or the June or something, and I think we had like a month left, and they did do some repairs then, they did them in time. But you can see from the photographs, I mean, clearly it needs some,
It's a very well
It's
used
doing-
site.
it is incredibly well used, and since the money was spent, I mean,
It's
it's,
got enough.
yeah.
I walk a dog down there and you just go in for the weekends or half term, heaving.
Even in school days, it's always busy. I've never been down the river and it not been in
Yeah.
use. It can be raining and everyone's in there. So you can see we've got some options. And at the bottom of page 128, we have a recommendation. I don't know if anyone's got any comments or questions before we start discussing the recommendation. Okay, well, the recommendation is that the committee resolves to recommend to FS&M that contractor B be appointed. You can see contractor B, the breakdown in the table above. To undertake the patch repairs to the toddler playground in Mill Meadows at a cost of £17,130, with the cost to be taken from SIL. I'm happy to propose that from the chair.
I'm happy to second to say this is very sensible, and I'm very happy to speak to FS&M if required as well.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, all in favour? That's unanimously carried.